Okay, so let's talk about ACB or Amy Coney Barrett. She is like literally all over the national news right now, and rightly so. And even as I speak right now, she is in her Senate confirmation hearing, which will of course pass because the Republicans have a majority in the Senate. So she is going to be the new Supreme Court judge of the United States. And why I'm talking about her is because I feel she is the greatest achievement of Trump. Like in his entire regime, she is his greatest achievement ever, and I'll explain why. So, to understand the significance of this thing, you need to understand the history of the US judicial system. So, basically, she was elected to replace uh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was a liberal judge appointed by Bill Clinton in the 1970s, and she sadly just died about a month back. So she was elected by Trump to replace her, and of course she was voted by majority by the Senate to replace her. So basically, in the last 150 years of American history, there have always been 9 Supreme Court judges, and the important thing to know here is that there were only 9 Supreme Court judges, and each of these judges serves like for a lifetime. Like if a judge is appointed at 60 years, he's going to serve until his death. So basically, you are appointed as a Supreme Court judge for your entire lifetime. So this plays a very important role in further discussions. So basically, uh, before Trump came to power, like in the last days of the Trump versus Hillary election, uh, the Supreme Court was more tilted towards the liberal side because, as I said, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was also a liberal judge, and out of the 9 judges, 5 were liberal and 4 were conservative. And yes, judges are also liberal and conservative. This is because of the fact that the president chooses judges to both the Supreme Court and I mean, he doesn't exactly choose, but he nominates them, and if he has the majority in the Senate, it passes. So he nominates judges to the Supreme Court and also the federal courts. For example, in the Trump regime, he has already appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, and he has appointed 1/3 of all the judges in the federal court. And it does the appointment of the judges does reflect biases of the president, not just in Trump's regime. I mean, in general, talking about all the presidents, because for example, Trump has appointed about 75% men in the federal courts as federal court judges, and 86% of them are white. So white men being appointed by Trump makes sense, right? Because white men are the main voting base for Trump, and Trump basically is for them. So yeah, so it makes sense that why he'll elect those type of judges on the Supreme Court, because it serves them more. And so basically, each president appoints a particular judge, and you basically get to know which judge is liberal or conservative. It's not like a judge declares that, but his stance on various issues kind of hints that whether he's liberal or conservative. For example, abortion. A judge who is pro-abortion and says that abortion is a good thing, it's a women's rights thing, is more likely a Democrat, and a judge who says that abortion is wrong and you must be pro-life is Republican. So your stance on various social issues gives a good idea of whether you're Republican or Democrat. So basically, before Trump was elected, the Supreme Court was a liberal Supreme Court, like in the ratio of 5:4, like 5 liberal judges and 4 conservative judges. So just before Trump got elected, one of the judges, Justice Scalia, who was a like Republican or slash conservative judge, she passed away. So to fill her seat, there was a lot of debate. The Democrats wanted to put another Democratic judge, and if they would have put a Democratic judge, it would have gone, the ratio would have been 6:3, and it would have been a very super liberal court. But unfortunately for the Democrats in the Senate, the Republicans were in the majority, so they didn't allow uh, the nomination to pass. And when Trump was elected, he quickly went on to fill that vacant Supreme Court judge spot by his own Republican judge, who goes by the name Neil. So basically, it was 5-4 to the liberals, and after Justice Scalia died, it was 5-3 to the liberals, and Trump appointed Neil to the Supreme Court as a Supreme Court judge. So it was still 5-4 to the liberals, but at least there were 4 conservatives on the bench. And then later on during Trump's term, one more of the judges, Supreme Court judges, sadly passed away. So he replaced another, and it was a liberal judge, a liberal Supreme Court judge. So he replaced that by another, of course, it's obvious, by a Republican Supreme Court judge. So you basically had Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh was the name of the judge. So you had now the balance slightly tilted in the favor of the Republicans. It was a more conservative Supreme Court for the first time in like many years, and it was five Republican judges or five conservative judges and four liberal judges. But usually, even in 5-4, you cannot give overly conservative or overly liberal like decisions on cases, because 5-4 is a very narrow margin, right? The public won't accept this. It has to be only by like a clear and vote that you can overturn big decisions. With 5-4, yeah, 5-4 is definitely a plus point for the conservatives, but you can't do much with the 5-4. Like, you can't vote on the contentious issues and overturn them, like Roe versus Wade and stuff. Roe versus Wade is the abortion case. So basically, yeah, the conservatives were stronger in the Supreme Court, but not as strong as they would have wanted to be. But somehow, during the later stages of the Trump-Biden campaign, like recently, one of the judges, which is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she passed away. So that opened a new spot, and this is the same situation which was there when the Trump-Hillary campaign was going on. Like, there was a vacant spot, and the Democrats didn't fill it, and the Republicans filled it later on. So Biden argues now that Trump should do the same thing by, I don't know, a certain code of honor, that he should not fill a Republican judge right now and wait for the election, wait for the people's mandate, and whichever president comes to power, he will then further on decide the nomination of the new judge. But Trump is like, no, like, I'm in power right now, so I'll decide. That's my good luck that I get to decide right now. So basically, long story short, he appointed ACB, and yeah, she's basically become the new Supreme Court judge. So now, if you see the current situation with ACB as a Supreme Court judge, it's 6-3 to the conservatives. I repeat again, it's 6-3 to the conservatives. 6 conservative judges in the Supreme Court out of 9, and that is a thumping victory or majority for the conservatives. Now they literally have the numbers to go on to challenge various cases in the Supreme Court, or overturn various cases in the Supreme Court they wanted to do for a very long time. For example, the Affordable Care Act, which is also known as Obamacare. Obamacare says that it's a social net, it's a social security net that the government provides healthcare for millions of people. But that's a Democratic policy. The Republicans' policy is more towards privatized healthcare and privatized health insurance policies. So it works to their favor to repeal Obamacare and get in a new healthcare plan which leans towards the private sector more. They can do that now. They can also do overturn the Roe versus Wade case, basically the abortion case. Right now, abortion is legal in the US, but they can make it illegal in the US, which is a Republican policy. They can do that now because they have the numbers on the Supreme Court. And 6-3 is a thumping majority. With 6-3, you can decide cases. It's not 5-4, it's 6-3. And 6-3 is deeply conservative, and this has never been seen before. And just throw back to the time when the Democrats could have been 6-3, but it didn't happen. Like 4 years earlier, they could have been 6-3. 4 years down the line, it's a 6-3 conservative Supreme Court. Like, who even saw that coming? So President Trump appointed 3 conservative Supreme Court judges, and that is his biggest thing. Like, even if he's given tax cuts and built a good economy, these all things are reversible. But a Supreme Court judge serves for lifetime, and that is an important thing. So basically, that is what is troubling Biden. Like, now, like, for example, take ACB. ACB is 48 years old. She is going to, like, if you take an average human lifespan as 80 years, she's going to serve for another 30 years. 30 years. For 30 years, there is going to be a conservative judge on the Supreme Court, and there are many others like her. So at least for the next 10-15 years or 1 decade or so, most of the decisions of the Supreme Court are definitely going to be super conservative in nature, and that scares the hell out of the Democrats, and especially Biden. And that's why, and they're scared that that actually Obamacare and abortion might be repealed. Yeah, exactly, it might be, those decisions might be overturned. So hence, one of their main campaign policies was packing of court. So packing of court, the term was first introduced during FDR, Franklin Roosevelt's regime, where he threatened to pack the court. Pack the court basically means to expand the court. Like, there are 9 judges right now. You say, okay, fine, the 9 judges are whoever they are. I can't remove a judge, but I can increase the size of the court. Like, I'll make 9 judges, 12 judges, or 15 judges, and the rest 6 new judges will be my own appointees. So they will be, like, in Biden's case, if he wins, liberal in nature, and of course with a liberal majority of judges, yeah, he can get the liberal decisions passed in the Supreme Court. So that's packing the court, and that is kind of unconstitutional in nature, I personally feel. Though how this actually pans out, we have to see about that. And one of the key policies of the Democrats is also gun ownership. They basically believe that the right to possess guns is wrong. So basically, they want to repeal. It's basically called the Second Amendment, and so they want to repeal the Second Amendment, and they can only do that if they have the Supreme Court in their control. So the best way to get the Supreme Court in control is to like have your judges on the Supreme Court, have liberal judges on the Supreme Court, and they aren't. So what's the solution? Like pack the court, or again he's grasping on various strands. Like he's saying that okay, fine, even if I can't pack the court, even if that's not constitutionally allowed, what I can do is that maybe I can like reduce the life sentence of not life sentence but reduce the term for which a particular judge serves. Like it won't be a life term, like it will be like 70 or 75, or put like a cap on it. So that's what these guys are discussing. And basically what's happening in America right now is it's a very polarizing election. Okay, the whole population is polarized between Democrats and Republicans, and as a result this effect is showing on the Supreme Court too. The Supreme Court is getting very polarized just because of opposite policies of the Democrats and the Republicans. Two parties with two very different policies are trying to manipulate the highest body in the country in terms of judiciary. So my own personal feeling, like my own personal verdict is that what Biden is doing is kind of unconstitutional, because whatever Trump did, even though you can argue on moral grounds that it was not right, but the thing is he was the president and he had the Senate with him. So what he did was exactly legal. But court packing is kind of illegal. It goes against the wishes of the people. So what you had was a liberal court from like a very long time, for several decades. You didn't complain then, but just because there's a conservative court now, you're complaining and you're saying all sorts of stuff that you're gonna do. So I personally feel that's kind of wrong, and that's kind of like trying to corrupt and destabilize the judiciary, and not even just the judiciary, the Supreme Court, which is the highest decision making body of the country. So I feel that that's not correct. And anyways, this is my view, but this is all very interesting. Let's see how this pans out. This totally depends on the election result. Like if Trump wins, it's a whole different story. Okay, it's then going just one way. But if Biden wins, you never know. For all you know, ECB's nomination to the Supreme Court might actually turn out to be not such a big deal, because ultimately the court is going to get packed. So let's see what the American people decide, because I read a survey where a majority of the American people said they were not in favor of packing the court even if they voted for Biden. So let's see how this happens. A court has never been packed before. Even FDR or Franklin D. Roosevelt, he threatened to pack the court, but he didn't actually do it. So let's see how this proceeds, and I'll be watching this, and I hope even you keep your eyes glued on this. Okay, thank you.